All right, welcome everyone on this bright, shiny Saturday morning. We're just going to have a little sort of fireside chat. We'll talk for a little while. If there's questions, I think this is a great opportunity for us to answer those, and we'll hang around a little bit after the panel. So give us a chance to talk through some things that are going on in financial markets here in the state, and a real good opportunity for us to get this conversation going.
Well, hello. I didn't get an introduction, but my name's Anita Roberts. I'm with Managing Director of Silicon Hills Capital. We invest in minority founders building tech-enabled platforms. Also, I'm a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel. My claim to fame is being a public affairs officer. I actually was handpicked to work with on President Obama's PR team. So enjoyed my military career and then decided to start a company, and I was able to sell that company, and so got into venture to assist other minorities. So this evening, or this morning, I guess we're still morning, aren't we? We're gonna talk, as you said, about have a fireside conversation about from Wall Street to Y'all Street, Texas and the future of American markets. So for generations, American finance has been synonymous with one place, New York City, and the iconic New York Stock Exchange. But today, a new chapter is being written right here in Texas with the launch of the New York Stock Exchange, Texas, in 2025. It's headquartered in Dallas, and Texas is rapidly emerging as a powerful center for capital markets, innovation, and corporate leadership. In less than a year, the exchange has already attracted more than 100 dual listings, representing over $2 trillion in market capitalization, a signal that the Lone Star State is playing an increasingly important role in shaping the future of American finance. Our guest today is helping lead that transformation. Before becoming president of the New York Stock Exchange, Texas, Bryan Daniel served as chairman of the Texas Workforce Commission, where he helped guide workforce and economic development for one of the fastest growing economies in the country. Today, he's at the center of a bold new idea that this next era of American markets may not just be defined by Wall Street, but by Y'all Street. So please join me in welcoming Bryan Daniel. So for decades, the phrase Wall Street has defined American finance. What does Y'all Street mean to you, and why is Texas the place where the next chapter is unfolding?
I mean, if you look at the way Texas has grown over, say, the last 20 years, you really get this picture of this kind of continuous and steady and continuous growth. And I think when you really dig into that and you start to see the component parts of that, it becomes about where companies are creating jobs. So if you think about Texas over the 20-year period, if you look at just the last 10 years of that, you'll see that we have led year over year over year over year in job creation for the United States. And the economy has grown with that. When I started doing economic development for the governor in 2015, I think Texas was something like the 12th largest economy in the world today. It's 8th, getting ready to overtake France here in a couple of years, just passed by Canada and Italy. So I mean, like, Texas as an economy is on par with economies worldwide that we would think of as fairly successful economies. And so you look at the job growth, you look at just the economic growth that we've seen in the state. And then, probably 2017, 2018, we really started to see consolidations of things happening in the state. So for example, we started to see financial services companies, financial sector companies really starting to consolidate in Dallas. And we started to see our cities really start to diversify their job base. So Dallas has always been known as a financial center. And today, in 2026, there are more financial sector employees in Texas than there are in New York. But that was a 15, 10-year runway to be able to get there. But then we started seeing diversification. So there's banking in Dallas, and there's also technology, and there's also energy, and we can say the same thing for Houston. We can certainly say the same thing for Austin. I mean, there's an oil company in downtown Austin for several years. So we didn't really feel like if I want to do this, I have to be in this one specific place. I just need to be in Texas. And that's not lost on, I think, the rest of the world. They see Texas as this place where there's opportunity. As one executive told me, like in Texas, like you can just do things. I need to create jobs, I'm gonna make jobs. If I need to grow my manufacturing line, I'm just gonna grow my manufacturing line. And I think you had a state government that was really aligned with making sure that happened. Well, so when you start looking at all these factors, you think about just the New York Stock Exchange, whom I work with. If you look at the New York Stock Exchange, Texas as a state is the single largest state for listed companies within the New York Stock Exchange. So for all the companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange, there are more in Texas than any other state. And that kind of growth has been sustained for a period of time, but we started to see that the Texas economy had some unique things about it. Like this notion of Y'all Street is because we think there are subtle differences in the types of investments that we see here. We think that there might possibly be different sort of views from investors here. And you got a lot of companies who realize that this is a significant customer base from them, certainly their investor base is here, and they want to be aligned with Texas. And I think in about 2024, I think this started becoming really, really clear for people. And so NYSE Texas makes this decision that, yeah, we've got a stock exchange in New York, the New York Stock Exchange. It's only been there since 1792, and they're only the most successful stock exchange in the nation. But that doesn't mean we just sort of like rest on that. Texas is a unique place. It's a special place that we see this opportunity for increased growth. So we're going to have a completely new stock exchange, NYSE Texas. Completely electronic, very modern, the latest technology, and we're going to put that in Dallas, and we're going to see what happened. That happened almost a year ago. So the end of this month will mark 1 year. As you already said, we're at 106 dual listings. We're continuing to grow from that. We're at the point where we're ready to have discussions about what comes next because the growth has been significant. And I think some newspapers call it the phenomenon of Y'all Street, but I think what you're really seeing is just this Texas spirit that has kind of like filled that up. In fairness, I wasn't always like embracing the Y'all Street moniker. Like that kind of, first of all, I sound like I'm from there anyway, and then that just sort of reinforces this stereotype that people. There are people that say y'all that were never equipped to say y'all, and I don't want them to attempt that, right? But the fact is like I think it captures what we're trying to do here perfectly, which is there's always going to be a Wall Street, and I think our goal here is there's always going to be a Y'all Street. And this is something that I don't talk about enough, but like think about how lucky I am. New York is one of the great capital centers of the world. We've got a very successful, long-standing 233-year-old stock exchange there that's doing well, and I get to be associated with them doing this brand new thing in Texas, which means in our group, we get to work in two of the great cities of the world, New York and Dallas. Just expand that out and say all of Texas. And so we get to be where financial history has taken place and where a new history for finance is about to take place. And for me, when I think about Y'all Street kind of writ large and what that means for the next several years is this is just a really cool thing to get to be a part of because we're building something here that we hope is as enduring as what we've seen with the New York Stock Exchange in New York. 233 years, pretty impressive record. I won't be here in 233 years, I suspect. But I hope the people reading about it are like, man, those people that got up on Saturday morning to come listen to a story about capital markets, they knew what was happening. They had it going on. That's where I hope we end up.
Awesome. Let's talk about innovation and market evolution. So kind of two questions. With over 100 dual listings and $2 trillion in market cap already. What kinds of companies are showing the most interest in the exchange here?
Yeah, so we've got pretty good diversity of companies. You know, I think it follows along with what we see listed on the big board in terms of there's communications companies, certainly there's energy companies, some manufacturing companies. It's actually really representative of the Texas economy, because I think the people that are listing on NYSE Texas, and at this point those are in fact all dual listings, so they're listed on another exchange as well. Many of them on the New York Stock Exchange, some on NYSE American, which is a sister exchange of ours, NYSE ARCA, another sister exchange of ours. There's one NASDAQ company on there which is a competitor exchange for their other listing. But they really kind of, if you try to group them up, you'll see that they kind of fit into one of three categories. So you've got some companies that, frankly, as one of them put it to me, look, we just want to wave our Texas flag. Like, we're from Texas, we're very serious about being Texas. They're a global company, everyone knows their name. But they're like, look, we're proud to be from Texas, like that's important to us. So we're gonna have this dual listing. It gives us a chance to support what's going on in Texas. It gives us a chance to really kind of tell people that we're really proud of our Texas heritage. So there's some of those. There's a second group of companies that they are anchored here in some way. So maybe their headquarters is here, maybe they just do a lot of business here, they have a lot of customers here, maybe they have a lot of investors here, and their interest is that, well, but we want to talk to this specific audience that is Texas. And NYSE Texas gives us an opportunity to amplify that message. And you know, exchanges provide this you know, sort of transparent and reliable place for your stock to trade. But we also spend a lot of time with our listed companies making sure that their message is getting to the people that need to hear that message. And so they ask us to do that specific to this Texas market. And then there's a third category, and this is some things that state government has done in terms of the way businesses are organized in Texas and the way you would incorporate in Texas. They actually kind of give you this option that if you're listed on an exchange that's headquartered in Texas, like us, that you can adopt parts of like the Texas Business Organizations Code without being incorporated in Texas. Things like shareholder proposals, protections for your directors and officers. And it gives them a chance to kind of experiment with like, what's it like to be more part of this business community? So this, you know, 100 and so dual listed companies they're going to fall into one of these categories, some of them multiple of these categories. But what it really says is it's like we're fulfilling kind of a need for them. Like we're giving them a voice in this marketplace that they're looking for. Their motivations are important to us to the extent we can understand what motivates them to do what they're doing and why, you know, or how, probably more importantly, we can be of service to them. But what it really helps us to do is to get this community of companies, the types of services they need, and in that we'll find continued strength for the Texas economy, and I think it leads to more opportunities for us to continue to grow that.
Well, that's a great segue to the second part of the question. What opportunities does this create for the startups and emerging companies in the Southwest?
So I think that's really kind of the next frontier for NYSE Texas. You know, startups, I think when you are starting a company, I think you go through different stages of belief about the thing that you just started. I think there's a period of time where your only goal is to survive. You know, I think then if you do survive, you knew the odds were tough, but now you have survived. You've moved on to kind of the next kind of phase of funding. You're doing well, but I think you reach this point where you realize, like, at some point, I'm either going to continue to grow and I'm going to get acquired, or I'm going to continue to grow sustainably and I'm going to end up taking this thing public. And I think for Texas companies specifically, the conversation lately has been, okay, but if my company grows to this point where I think that the models would say that we're going to get, I don't know that listing in New York is where I am right now, what I want to do right now, or even in the best interest of the growth of this company, but is there a possibility I could do my primary listing on NYSE Texas? And this is the exact conversation we're having right now. So with folks like you that are really heavy in this space and you're really helping a number of startups and you're helping founders with what they're doing, now's the time to enter that conversation. So we don't have any primary listings, but we're very ready to have that conversation. We've got the components in place. We know how to do it. And I think at this point, if a company were to come to us and say, hey, we'd like to do an IPO on NYSE Texas because we're regional, we want to be in the Southwest United States, we want to focus on Texas, yeah, we would 100% have that conversation. There's a way to get to where that company wants to be, and we definitely have the resources available to us to chart that out and get them to the place that they need to be with their company.
Okay, I'm not sure if you answered this, but can you talk about the ripple effects that this exchange is going to have for the local entrepreneurs, investors, and not just in Dallas?
Yeah, no, I think that's really kind of like a fundamental question that we think about a lot, because you have these sort of, this is my words, this is the time for me to do the disclaimer, because I've been studying this much longer than I've been the president of NYSE Texas, but I think Texas, so that there's like a certain tribalism in Texas, like Dallas is Dallas, and Houston is Houston, and Austin is Austin, and San Antonio is San Antonio. I'm from a town called Itasca, and we're for Itasca, and so all 900 of us are for that, and so I think we're on this leading edge now of understanding like all these things are related to each other. You're not going to see it any different in another place. Let's pick on California. You know, San Francisco is Bay Area is Bay Area, LA is LA, San Diego is San Diego. But when you've seen real collaborations through that, just like in Texas, when you see a real collaboration between the Dallas-Fort Worth area with the Houston area with the Austin area, like this, that's an exponential kind of situation. I think the sum of those parts equals a greater whole. Where do I think it goes in the future? I think we've seen some tremendous venture capital efforts in Texas. Austin has been notable. Dallas has gotten very organized. Houston's doing the thing that they do. San Antonio's doing the thing that they do. I think you see a little different approach in all those places, but I think the net result is we're seeing more opportunities for something to happen entirely within Texas. Maybe there's a bad picture you can paint of that, but I don't know what that is. Like, this is a big place. Like, there's 30 plus million people here. It's the best population in Australia. So, I mean, it's like, this is a fairly good sized place. And there's opportunities to grow. I think what we're able to see, and one of the things that we're really working toward is that we really kind of give a completion point to kind of a next step. So you can have venture capital, but if there's no money available after that, if there's no investors after that, like, okay, now what do we do? And I think we're completing steps. So I think our VC space is doing well. I think kind of the next stage funding, you're starting to see a lot of family offices and private equity money that's been interested in kind of that growth phase for the company. And now that we're bringing this capital markets component in there, you know, I think we're extending out this investor base even further in a positive way, in the sense that companies can complete their entire growth cycle here in this place that they've kind of self-selected themselves to be in. I think there's a lot of growth that's still going to happen here. I think kind of across that full spectrum of funding opportunities for companies. But what's happening is I think people, either by geographic location within the state, or by sector, or even by, you know, just being like, we want to stand up a Texas entity. I think we're seeing a lot more collaboration for sure, probably more cooperation than we've seen. And, you know, at some point, like when scaling needs to happen for a company, I think there's a lot more confidence that those different component parts are robust, they're ready to go, and you can carry a company through, you know, all the different sort of stages of their life cycle until, you know, for us, you know, we'd love to see more companies go public. We think that's a great way to access capital, but there's a lot of growth that has to happen before you get to that point.
So let's say we're looking ahead about 10 years. What would success look like for the New York Stock Exchange, Texas?
Yeah, I think for us, 10 years from now, we would really hope to see this robust marketplace where we have certainly stocks that this is their primary listing, that listed companies are doing business in this space. They're seeing the growth that they need. They may be regional. They may be a little bit, you know, smaller market cap than what we would traditionally think of as a listed company, but that they're growing, they're successful, and they're doing those things in their space. I actually don't think even 10 years from now that we won't see dual listings there. I think we'll continue to see those over the 10-year period. It's a great added tool for a company who perhaps is global, perhaps they're national in scope, and it gives them an opportunity to do that. But I think the rest of that equation is the conversation we've been having, which is seeing the kind of the final build out of this sort of complete like financial sector ecosystem here. We've got most of the kind of usual suspects that would work in this. I think we're getting our linkages put together. I think 10 years from now, what you see in Texas is rather than us be this kind of conversation that people have, like, can you believe what's going on in Texas? I think 10 years from now, what you see is like, we've got to figure out how they did that in Texas. And I think as I see kind of where things are, and as I see, you know, how I would envision this a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, to get to that 10-year mark, I'm seeing those pieces really kind of come to the forefront, come to light, and I'm seeing those linkages get put in place. And so I think all that's very possible.
Okay, my closing question. Do we have founders in the audience? Your founder? How about investors?
Lots.
Okay, lots of young professionals, of course. So if you were talking directly to those folks, the founders, the investors, and young professionals who are wondering how to plug into this new era of the Y'all Street, what advice would you give them right now?
I would say two things. The first thing is like, and just write this down because this is on the quiz. Make your friends before you need them. Like, that's really just a life lesson. Make your friends before you need them. And what I mean is, like, everything you do and like all the success you're gonna have is gonna be somewhat related to the relationships that you have. Like we meet people. We want to meet people that we think will be useful, but the fact is everyone you meet at some point is going to be helpful for you. Maybe they told you a funny story and you got to relax for 30 seconds. That's a useful person. Or maybe they're going to help connect you to the bank that's going to help you do the thing that you're trying to do. That's a useful person. So that'd be the first thing. The second thing I would say is really like we get kind of locked into this idea that, oh no, I've got to be in this network and I've got to do it this way and I've got to go to this cocktail party and I've got to, you know, be on and I've got to get 11 LinkedIn connections at this cocktail party, and if I only got 10 and I'm a total failure. No, you know, you got 10 more than you had this morning, okay? You're 10 times further down the line than you were. And you know, so many of folks that are founders, young investors, people getting involved, like we got 6 minutes, so I'm gonna have to, like I'm not Dr. Phil, but I'm gonna lay some heavy stuff on you, all right? You either are energized by people and they charge your batteries, or they drain your batteries faster than you can charge them. You need to know who you are. My observation of young founders is like those whose batteries are drained easily still think they need to be the person that gets energized by the scene, whatever that is. You need to know you best of all. Once you know that, start finding the people that do charge your batteries, whatever that may be. And just understand like what it takes for you to be successful. I think all of us, myself included, there are moments of self-doubt that we all have. I think you reach an age, my gray hair is a testament to that, where you just stop caring about a lot of stuff because there's like I'm running out of time on this. Or I'm kidding, I'm not that old. But it's like there's just stuff that after 20-something years, I'm like, that's really not going to matter. But I think the thing that plagues people the worst is that it's like I don't know how I got here. Like I did this because it sounded cool, or I made a bet in a bar, or like whatever, and I got this company now. But I'm really not supposed to be here, and I'm really not supposed to be successful. Like you'll read about that, and they call that, what do they call that? Like imposter syndrome. Yeah, it's real, but you don't feel like an imposter. You just feel like it's all going to fall apart tomorrow. And I think the thing is like you got this far because of you. You know you better than anybody else. To take advantage of like this creativity that you're bringing to the world, and understand that you may be doing a new thing, but if you found any one person that says, I think that's a great idea and I'm going to participate in that with you, you're way ahead of most of the other people that are occupying the space. Everything we do is based on relationships and the people that we meet and the people that can help make things happen. I mean, even people with whom you're engaging in a business relationship, like we signed a hard contract, and we actually do like each other a lot, but like maybe it's somebody you don't even like that much, but you still got to do business with them. So you sign a contract because you don't like them and they don't like you. But you still got to have a relationship with them. Surround yourself with the people you like. Surround yourself with people who kind of understand the goal. And as you find kind of each level of success, understand that was meant to be. And I think you just keep pushing down that track, and you get the people you need around you. You associate with the people, you understand what you need to make it happen. And then I think you will be pleasantly surprised that if you are kind of diligent with that task, how all of a sudden things just start happening. I think one of the best lessons I got 30 years ago was you're gonna work hard and you might be successful. And assuming you do become successful, you're gonna think about the 20 years that you just were grinding every day, and you're gonna be so grateful for that success. And all the people that didn't grind are gonna tell the world how lucky you were. And it's like, overnight successes usually take about 20 years. And I think it's just understanding, I'm gonna do the work, I'm gonna do the thing, and I hope I get the rewards for that, but along the way, it needs to be a pleasant experience for everyone involved. Kind of like this panel today. What a pleasant experience it's been for me. Thanks guys for coming out bright and early on this Saturday morning, because I think it's just been some wonderful stuff. Let's hear it one more time for Anita, because she is the best moderator.
Thank you. I don't know, we may have a room for time for one question.
We got 2 minutes and 14 seconds.
Anybody have a question? I mean, this is a great opportunity to speak to someone who's really putting Texas on the map. Everybody's shy. Come on, founders.
I'm going to stand right down there, and they can ask that question privately if they want to. Guys, thanks so much.
All right, thank you, guys.